Hello, everyone. Very excited to be back here today with another core valuable members of ICF Oregon. We're here with Margreet Adriani. She is an ADHD coach as well as helps ICF Oregon organize a lot of our walk and talks, meet and greet sessions, which are so valuable for in-person networking and connection among us coaches. So welcome, Margreet, and thank you so much for your time and being here.
Thank you, Preeti. I'm really happy to be here and a little nervous too, since you invited me to talk a little bit more about ADHD coaching. At the same time, I love ADHD coaching, so I'd love to talk about it too.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here, Margaret. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into ADHD coaching?
Okay. I actually started as a lifestyle coach for the National Diabetes Prevention Program about 10, 12 years ago. I think I learned some of the coaching habits there, but it really got intensified in 2020 when I took my first coach training, ICF certified coach training with UC Davis continued education. But hey, as coaches, we like to keep evolving, right? So in 2023, ADHD coaching came on my path because what I found out is a number of my clients had ADHD. And so I really wanted to be able to be a better coach for them. And it felt that I was lacking because I didn't understand sometimes what was happening to them or why life was so different for them than maybe for somebody else. And so that started me on this course. I took three sets of they were each 3 months long courses to become an ADHD coach. They taught me about ADHD. They taught me about medication. They taught me about a lot of different books. They taught me about tools that can be helpful for people with ADHD. And it also took away a couple myths that I had myself about ADHD. And I think so. It was really, really helpful to do this.
Wow, that sounds like quite a journey, and that speaks volumes about you as a coach and how invested you are in your clients as well. And they're so lucky to have you. So, talking more about ADHD coaching for those who are unfamiliar, how does this really differ from our standard life and career coaching and other forms of coaching that are out there?
Yes. Okay. So I think where it's similar to ICF coaching as we know it, where we want to create the safety and we have our ethics and we want to show up in a certain way and ask really thoughtful questions, knowing that the other person is complete and a whole person
Hmm.
and is capable of solving what's on their plate. That's absolutely true for people with ADHD as well. But how I think it differs is that the awareness takes in an even more important
Hmm.
place because I think for a lot of people with ADHD, they may end up in a situation and wonder by themselves, how did I get here and how do I get out of it? Because it's not ideal at this moment. And I think that awareness can help what can be um, increase with the help of coaching, where you have a moment to reflect and look at what's happening and then say, oh, but this is happening all the time and this is how I usually solve it. So maybe I can do something with that here. I think that's really helpful for people with ADHD. I will sometimes point out to them, it's like, hey, what you described that right now, could that have anything to do with your ADHD? And especially if people are newly diagnosed, that's being really helpful because they are still learning themselves so much about ADHD. And then as coach, I can help them to recognize it.
Hmm.
And I think sometimes there is like a sigh of relief at that moment there because they don't have to keep up anything else. Like, okay, yeah, I didn't want people to notice, but this is who I am and this is how I cope. And as a coach, I know what they're talking about because I have that extra piece of education through ICF.
Yeah, I can imagine like that must be such a relief for them and such a feeling of support to be understood, right? So Thank you for sharing that. So, in terms of your clients, what would you say is the biggest challenge that they usually face? And how do you think you support them best through it?
Mhm. So I think that the challenges can really show up in day-to-day life where it's maybe about time management and they always are scrambling to get to a meeting on time or they don't feel fully prepared for it. But I think in a bigger piece of life, it may affect in how often they change jobs. It may affect their relationships that they have with their most important people, where they sometimes react in a way that other people may think, hey, this is out of proportion. Why is this happening? And it may actually have to do with that they at that moment have trouble regulating their emotions. And that's how ADHD can show up as well. Um, they may show up as perfectionists sometimes, which means that they are trying to compensate somewhere for where they feel themselves lacking. They may have a lower amount of confidence in their own strengths and capabilities. And as a coach, I really help them to see that other side from there as well, is that, hey, just like any other person, they have a lot of strengths. And I try to get their focus there as well, because it's the whole package that comes together that way. Um, and often in the workplace, they may have to advocate for themselves, as in, hey, maybe there's a whiteboard they need, or maybe they need a more quiet space, or maybe they need a headset to be able to focus better. And I think in a situation where they speak with a coach and they're trying to solve for what's going on at that moment, that may be a really good place to come up with those ideas and then also be able to communicate those to the people they're working with at their workplace.
That is beautiful because I can imagine this is also a matter of, as you are building your self-worth, you want to also build confidence in being able to ask for that help, right? Uh, Part of coming across as a perfectionist, sometimes people can suppress their needs and need for help and support, right? So I can see how supportive and valuable this is. So for people who are sitting on the fence with this, right, who may have newly discovered or not yet discovered, they may have seen some traits but not yet been diagnosed. What would you advise them in terms of approaching an ADHD coach?
Um, I think if this is a thought that keeps coming back in their mind, it's like, oh, do I have ADHD? Or yes, I have ADHD. What now? I wish somebody would understand me better, or I wish I had somebody that I can just discuss things with. And sometimes those people can be friends, but I think a coach takes on a different role where they don't only listen and then give advice because, hey, as coaches, we don't like to do that as much. I still want to go back to it's like, hey, yes, we can figure this out together, but you know your life really well and you know who you are, and I'm going to help you to find those solutions um, that work well in your life. And the so if that thought keeps going back in their keeps coming back in their mind and they really want to they should just get in contact. There's several organizations that are, in my experience, are very welcoming and open and want to um, welcome you in their organization. There are coaches. I'm thinking about the ACO, which is I had it up earlier. Let me scroll here. That is the um, ADHD Coaches Organization. Um, that's a place where you can find coaches that are all have their education. It's very much out there on their profile, and you can source through them for different reasons, whether you're a student, a parent, or maybe somebody who um, is in contact with somebody who has ADHD but doesn't have ADHD themselves. Those might all be people who say, "Hey, yes, I want to look for a coach," and I would say interview a couple of them, see which one you like best, and then go with that person when that fits your budget as well. Um, and I think one of the biggest lessons that I had to learn personally is I sometimes don't think people will help me,
Hmm.
but then it turns out that they will when I ask.
That's right.
And so it's really then about bringing up the courage to ask.
Hmm.
Because usually on the other side of it, also, I think for a lot of people with ADHD, when they can, they are absolutely willing to help others. So why would it not be true the other way around?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so much value in what you just said. I just want to reiterate that for everyone, irrespective of whether or not you have ADHD, you know. So thank you so much for sharing that valuable advice. So if folks
Oh,
want to
absolutely.
get in touch with you, how do they do that?
If folks want to get in contact with me, I think a good place to start would be my website, which is lightenyourplate.com. And then I have my website as my email as well, and that is my first name that you may see on the screen here, Margreet at lightenyourplate.com. I know email can be very much a struggle for a lot of people with ADHD. So feel free to start at my website. There's a place to connect. And when you go to connect, you will get access to my schedule and you can put in some time for yourself. And I will send you a link and then we start from there.
Thank you so much for sharing. So, for coaches out there, if you want to grow in this direction and add a branch and learn more about how to certify as an ADHD coach, or if folks are just generally interested in either supporting someone, loved one, friend through their ADHD, and or if you're suffering from ADHD yourself and you want to just boost your own confidence, build your own, self-worth and help yourself through different circumstances and situations. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Margaret, and some of the useful resources that she's mentioned. Please do check them out as well. And I'm so thankful, Margaret, for you to have brought this to a conversation, and I'm sure this will add value to so many people. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you so much, Bree, for bringing the word out about all these different services that coaching can help with.
Awesome. Thank you.